You know, just ask yourself what you would like from a friend and just be that. Simplify it. Isn't it? Like everything you'd like. Because we're always thinking what I'd like the other person to be for me, flip it around and be that for the other person. And then you can flip it around again and ask, I wonder what it would be like to be me if I was a friend, if I had a friend exactly like me. Of course, if you're egotistic, you go, oh, it would be great. But you actually think about it. What would be good about having me as a friend, and what wouldn't be? That's an interesting question. Not easy to answer. I think another problem, I'm hogging time from the relationship. Let's see how many things I can hit before she's. I think a big problem is expectation. Sometimes we have expectations because we're lacking, and we need somebody to fill us up. It's not their job, it's our job. You don't do this for me. Well, I didn't know I was supposed to. I thought that's what people do for themselves. Or you have expectations, but you didn't tell them. This is always a problem. We get let down. The expectations, we get let down. We never told the person what they are. Or often we don't even tell them. We say, well, you should know. Maybe I should, but if you want me to know, why don't you just tell me? Because then maybe if you tell me, I could say, well, I don't think I can fulfill that expectation. Well, that's part of it, needs to be part of the deal here. So we need to know those things. And we have a t-shirt. I make t-shirts. And the way I make t-shirts is I say something in a class and I go, that's a t-shirt. The whole website of t-shirts, just things that I said. Didn't plan on saying it before I gave the class, but it came out. And one of the t-shirts is people like to be loved. People do not like to be judged, they like to be loved, or people like to be loved, not judged. So, what makes a good relationship, at least for me? Why we want close relationships? We want close relationships so we could be ourselves without it being judged. Isn't it nice to be you could just be yourself and not be judged? Because, we're always judged and compared with. So it's nice to just be with someone who accepts you as you are, and you don't have to perform, and they accept you or love you. So we want to offer that to people. This is how you are. I accept you. Otherwise, this is how you are, and I don't like it, and I have to change it. Ladies, I have some really good advice for you. Would you like some good advice? I won't charge you. I've heard this so many times, and I've seen it so many times. When you go in a relationship, a romantic relationship with a man, don't marry an idealized, or don't have a relationship with an idealized version of that man. Don't fall in love with an idealized version, because the version you have in front of you is what you're going to get. Even if you're trying to make him different or hoping he's different, he's not different until he's different. And so a lot of times women get in a relationship with a guy and they're going to try to change him, then accept him as he is. And ladies, I don't know about you, but guys really don't like women trying to change. Okay, guys, raise your hand if you like women trying to change. You shouldn't be good at it. Well, they're getting married soon. He has to say that to the wedding day. After wedding day, he's good to go. No. No, there is, like if I tell my wife I have this problem, can you help me with it? Or I appreciate it when you gently guide me and improve me. That's one thing. But for her to say I can't accept you unless you're like that, that's different, right? That's different. But yeah, my wife helps me a lot. I've changed a lot, but she's changing me because it's for my betterment that she accepts me, and she married me for who I am. And she was able to change me, not to stay with me, because it would help me. That's good. So acceptance is beautiful. This is who I am. And in our society today, it's all with social media. It's all everyone's comparing. And so we're kind of like on this, like I gotta perform to look good thing. Isn't it? Maybe I'll go out tonight and do something that looks good. So take a picture of it. Get bonus points or something. My false ego can get upgraded, something like that. But where we can be open and honest and be ourselves, that's where friendship is. And in our scriptures, that's what it says. Opening your heart, there's nothing, you're not hiding anything. That's friendship. So if I don't hide anything and you still accept it, that's friendship. You still like me. That's not you. Okay. I don't want to hug the show because she knows more than me.
Actually, I was just thinking that in our Vaishnava culture, our devotee spiritual culture, there's kind of like these keys, ways that we can cultivate really warm, loving relationships. So we don't have to invent ways. They're kind of given to us. They're like ways to exchange. And many of you are familiar with this. You can help me out. I think there's six loving exchanges, right? So one is to share one's heart and mind and confidence. Somebody that you trust, you want to get close with, you want to connect with, you open up, you share something in a vulnerable way and have this beautiful heart-to-heart exchange. So sharing one's mind and confidence. And another one is to offer gifts. And in our culture, prashadam, the spiritual food that we eat, that's one of the ways we love to give prashadam.
No, it's like offering gifts and offering prashadam.
Maybe I'm combining them. So offering gifts that make the person feel loved, valued, appreciated, and known and understood. And also receiving gifts is one of them. So the six is like sharing one's mind and confidence and receiving that person's mind and confidence. And then offering gifts, right? There's an art to sort of like giving a gift with grace and appreciation. And then there's also an art to receiving a gift. Sometimes people are embarrassed to receive gifts and they're like, no. But there's a way to receive a gift with so much grace that it makes the other person feel as loved and appreciated as they're wanting to make you feel. And then the prashadam part, this spiritual food that nourishes our body and our soul, giving some cookies or some cake or some whatever, some yummy thing is another way to cultivate a beautiful relationship. So I think that's it, right? The gifts, the prashadam, and revealing one's mind. So just if we did that, that would be such a strong, solid foundation to build on, to continue developing this very meaningful spiritual relationship that could stand the test of time.
You can also give the gift of nice words.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a material thing.
In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, austerity of speech is to speak what is truthful and pleasing. Sometimes it's hard to do both. But you have to be be honest, of course, but it should be pleasing. And of course, if you're supporting someone, appreciating someone, that's always going to be. We need appreciation, don't we?
There's this book called The Seven Principles of Making Marriage Work, which I do a lot of my work from that book and from the teachings of the who wrote the book. But it's interesting because those seven principles, they work for any kind of relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or a parent-child or a boss and an employee or coworkers. These are principles of relationships can be applicable to any kind of relationship, depending, regardless of what your role is. And once you understand the keys, and one of them is appreciation. It's almost like cherishing and appreciating the qualities of that person so that overrides any negativity that may be there, because nobody's perfect. And so we can focus on the thing that we don't like about them, or we can focus on something really wonderful and create this culture of appreciation. And a culture doesn't necessarily require more than two people. Two people can create a culture of appreciation. So we try and do that in our own home, is create in the home a culture of appreciation. That's what people pick up when they are around people that are creating that kind of.
Well, that's what your kids pick up also.
And the children too, yeah.
I'm going to throw an idea out that may spin your brain around. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Let's find out. To have a good relationship, there's going to be compromise. You're going to have to do things sometimes you don't want to do. You have to do some things you don't like to do. And sometimes that's going to be difficult. And that's really good. Because we're all too selfish, aren't we? Just want it the way I want it. And don't mess with it. In the relationship, for it to work, you have to learn how to become more selfless. That's good. And in spiritual life, it's all about giving, sacrifice, surrender. So you can start doing it at home. Charity begins at home. A lot of people, when they come together and they see all the compromises in their mind, they're thinking, I didn't sign up for this. Which I would say, you did, you just didn't know you did. I want a Maserati. I just don't want to pay for it. It's like that. You want a relationship. This is part of the cost. And so when there's difficulty and you have to make sacrifices, it's really good for you. I think. Especially so many of us, we lived alone, we're on our own. We had things the way we wanted. We had grew up with our own bedroom. There weren't like 4 of us in one room. Unless you're in. We just, did I make an offense? I heard like, in Indian family, if like they give you your own room, that's like a curse. You want to sleep on the bed with 3 of your brothers. Is it like that? Isn't it like that? Yeah. Anyway, you had a question?
I was going to ask, how do you know, when is the best time to share? Because we all have our own conflicts or problems that we're dealing with, but how do you know when it's best to share with people and other times to just deal with them yourself? How do you find a balance?
Like if you have if you have problems, when should you open up and when should you just deal with it yourself?
Oh yeah. Well, that's a good question. You have to be careful that this person is really trustworthy and that they're going to honor your issue or your problem. You want them to be able to hold space for you and make you feel safe, and there needs to be value in it. You don't want to just tell them and then regret having told them and then feel like a fool and then wonder if they're going to go and tell so and then it makes you feel so insecure. And so I don't know if there's an exact right time, but there should be some amount of trust, real solid trust that's been built.
Well, I was also thinking, if the problem is really serious, like if you need professional help, and you tell it to somebody who likes to give advice, you may get really bad advice. So it's something to be aware of.
Yeah, so be careful, because it's something that you know, your heart, you want to protect it. And being vulnerable is very important in life to make growth and to learn, to grow and to learn, but you have to be careful. So guard it carefully, but know that giving it away and sharing it is also the way that we get through it and work through it and heal. So, pray to God in your heart to send the right people to you, and make sure that when you are ready to reveal and share, it's the right time and it's the right place and it's expressed in the right way, so that there can be this very safe, loving, healing kind of exchange.
There's also another thing you can do is journal. Sometimes you can resolve your own issues just by journaling. And what's actually going on is Krishna, the Supreme, within your heart is guiding you, giving you intelligence as you write. So sometimes that can be miraculous. And yes. Yes, sir.
Could you describe the relationship between satisfaction and effort? So I've been reading, Narad Muni's been instructing on satisfaction is just very important. He said it 3 times in a row, and Prabhupada comments it's one of the most important qualities a person can have. And I've been practicing it this week. It's been really difficult, but I feel very peaceful. And I'm just curious, like, what's the way to navigate the feeling of just being okay with things as they are, and the desire to, okay, well, there might be something I want to modify or improve?
Well, my understanding is that when you're reading about satisfaction, I was just actually reading about that also. Almost like if you're not satisfied, it's problematic. Like if you're on the spiritual path and you're not satisfied. But it never struck me in terms of that had anything to do with not trying, not making an effort. It had more to do with whatever the result is, you're satisfied with. Because we have goals, we have aspirations, we have instructions from our gurus, our teachers. And we want to fulfill those things. That's what gives us life. At the same time, if it doesn't work out exactly the way we want, we're always satisfied because we have deep connections. We have deep spiritual connection. You know, it's like my spiritual master came from India, and he was burning with compassion to share the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. Burning. He couldn't stop thinking about it all day. He was working on it because he could feel the suffering of people. So he was anxious, but it doesn't mean he wasn't satisfied in himself personally. And there's this verse, you know, that verse Prahlad Maharaj says, you know, I'm satisfied. That's the answer to your question. Prahlad Maharaj says, Prahlad Maharaj was a great devotee. You want to know about Prahlad Maharaj? Watch the movie Mahatma. Quite exciting. It's the story about Prahlad Maharaj. And Prahlad Maharaj, he was very compassionate. And he exhibits this nature of compassion of a devotee of Krishna is that I suffer to see other people suffer. It, it, and I suffer also because God, Krishna wants a relationship with everyone and they run away from him and it causes pain to the devotee. So Prahlad Maharaj says, I am completely satisfied because I can just serve you, Krishna, and I can chant your name and so forth. And he says, Magna Chitta, I'm merged in the ocean of bliss. But I have an anxiety about everyone else who doesn't have it. So that's how it works. So, like Krishna says, don't be attached to the results. He means don't be attached to enjoying the results. It doesn't mean don't be attached to achieving something in service. You're driving home tonight, car breaks down, and your wife's like, says, what are you going to do? And you said, I'm completely satisfied. I could just sleep in the car here tonight. You could just chant all night. It would be beautiful. That's a Bhakti Burfi moment. Bhakti Burfi is a fictional comic book character which I created. He exists in my mind. He hasn't made it to a page yet or a video. But Bhakti Burfi is a black and white total fanatic. He can't understand anything. Everything he reads is like within a tunnel. So that would be tunnel vision. I'm totally satisfied. So a devotee of Krishna should be satisfied in his relationship with Krishna. But anxious to bring other people into that relationship or anxious to achieve whatever it is. You could be anxious to become an expert mridanga player and still be satisfied. You've got a nice house, nice wife, nice job, study every day, Prabhupada's books, you chant Hare Krishna, you're satisfied. You're just not satisfied with your mridanga playing. But it doesn't upset your satisfaction foundationally in your relationship with Krishna. Yes. Narada, look who's here. Out of note, remember?
Do not know Mahatma Prabhu. In early 80s, he was my mentor for, I was taking VIAT course. So give him hand.
You have a question or an answer?
Good question.
Okay. It's going to be a good question.
We understand our predecessor, Acharya Sri Rupa Goswami. He has said is revealing our mind in confidence to whom we know very nicely,
Yes.
so and so forth. What if he gives instruction and we try to take it sometime and after that it doesn't appeal to us? So when we
Someone talks to you and it's you can't hear what they're saying, it bothers you. Is that what you're saying? Oh yeah. That's interesting because in the professional world, if this happens, like if you're a counselor or something, in the professional world, you can not take that client and say, this makes me uneasy to deal with it. Maybe they're talking about some form of child abuse. It makes you very uneasy, or your child is. You might have to just say, this is, I think I would like to help you, but this is too sensitive for me or disturbing for you to hear. Now, having said that, if someone sometimes is saying something that is hard for you to hear, sometimes it means they're really in stress, they're really hurting. And if you can see that and feel that, then you might be able to hear it because they're not really saying what you hear, they're saying something else. And you're feeling the pain behind what they're saying because you're feeling the pain. I should listen to this because I know they don't mean what they're saying, they're just angry. So that's possible. I've experienced that. I've done that. I practice it, I've done it. And usually at the end of the conversation, they're not saying what they were saying in the beginning. I'm just listening, letting them vent. And feeling what they're feeling, the hurt. They're not even expressing what's hurting them. But you can kind of tell what's hurting them. They're expressing something else. Oh, they're doing this wrong and that, but they're expressing hurt and nobody's listening sometimes. You know, a lot of the criticism you hear of things going wrong is a feeling like of not being appreciated. No one listens to me. Sometimes. I used to be a big shot and now I'm nobody. And it hurts. Sometimes it's like, we see that, don't we? Yes.
You've sat in a lot of rooms like this. I guess it's a question connected to the story, maybe. Do you remember any questions that stuck out in your head that somebody else asked or you've heard?
Ask me
Yeah.
to answer. That was difficult, or
Were there any questions that you heard that just really stuck with you and that you've been trying to answer for a while now? So a question about a question.
so I would have more questions that I ask myself than other people ask. It's because I've been doing this for 56 years. So I've studied and I've thought about probably everything and more than anyone would ask me. The difficult ones are the ones I ask myself. That's where I find it difficult. I mean, also, I don't know, do you have that experience?
I don't sit and agree with them. It's kind of like the same questions over and over in different varieties.
But you know what's difficult? Not answering the question, but people having enough faith to be open to the answer. That's the difficult part. You can answer the question really well, but the way prejudice works, and what do they call that? Bias. There's a name for it. Like when you already decided.
Confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias. There's so much of that bias that if you understand something in a certain way, and that's the only way you've ever seen it in your life, and I try to, like, I don't want to just tell you what you believe. I want to tell you something you don't believe, because that will help you grow. So sometimes I purposefully believe that, but for many people, that it's impossible for them to accept it, because even though it makes sense, like everyone in the audience is like, come on, it makes sense. And like, no, I don't believe it. It's not true. It's like, no, it is true. It's like, it's been proven, there's statistics. So that's a problem. And part of that problem is that not only the bias, but a lot of people just want to understand everything themselves. They don't want someone telling them anything. And what you will learn here in the Krishna temple is you'll learn things that you can't even experiment with. You could only experience if you practice. We're going to tell you, well, this is what it's like in the spiritual world, or there's another life. I don't know. I don't have experience with that. You can't remember it. So we're going to tell you things that you can't verify under a microscope, that are coming from a higher source. And that's hard for a lot of people, especially if you're raised Christian. Christians say one life, heaven or hell. And we say, no, many lives. So that's difficult. So I think the best thing anybody can do if they want to grow and learn is just be open to the possibility that there's something they don't understand, or there's something that's different from the way they understand it, and explore it. And that's not always easy. You can have the right answer, but it has to go into the right mindset. I don't know if that's just an answer. But that's the difficult thing. And I think a lot of questions that I have for myself are like, they could be answered in various ways. And I'm kind of looking for the answer that works for me. And something comes up, I'll let you know. I mean, some questions, if you're a physicist and you ask me questions, is the earth flat, if we go to the moon, I'm not qualified to answer that, so I could say, yeah. Those kinds of questions, God gives us all different brains. And when he passed out my brain, the science part was like sleeping. And it never really woke up. It woke up a little bit, but not much. So it didn't take a lot of interest in science. And there's so much about physics and chemistry that can be applied to spirituality. I took a little interest in, but not to the point where I could discuss with a PhD student, even a master's, maybe an average college student. So for me, those were the difficult questions. But I would always turn that over to someone who's qualified. If they want, I can't talk their language. She can talk their language. She wants to talk biology, talk to her chemistry. She'll explain how life must come from the soul. Yes.
They're just taking any course.
Random, yeah.
It's kind of related to a few topics back and also a lecture that I think it was you two speaking. I heard you say that a secret in marriage is to always give more than you feel like you're receiving. And so I was thinking about that in relation to Krishna consciousness and my relationship with Krishna, because even though he is obviously always giving more than I can even receive, sometimes I don't perceive that.
Yes.
And so it requires this similar mindset, like, okay, I'm gonna give in faith that,
Yes.
what I'm receiving is beyond my perception. And I was curious if you could just
I don't mind talking.
go
Right,
with
I brought you
the
with me.
I'd love to hear.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
If you come to the temple on Sunday, what's your theory is from? I think your theory is what? Is your theory that, what was your theory? You can't love Krishna, you can't see how much he loves you, is that part of it?
It's not necessarily a theory, it's just an observation within myself that
Okay.
sometimes I don't perceive.
Yeah, okay.
So I feel like I have to give in good faith, like similar to what you were saying in marriage. You give more than you're receiving. So sometimes I'm like, Krishna, you're not fulfilling my desires, but I'm gonna still serve, I guess.
This is an advertisement for the Sunday. I will completely show you how much Krishna loves you beyond your wildest dreams. It's going to be, this Sunday lecture might be the most beautiful lecture I've ever given. Seriously. So it's going to show you all the ways that you don't see that Krishna loves you and how much he loves you. And you won't have this problem. Because bhakti means to love God, right? No, it's only half. Bhakti means God loves you more than you could ever love. We're always looking at, I'm serving Krishna. He wants me to do so many things. Behind the scenes, Krishna's always serving you, working with you, loving you, pushing you to come to him, waiting for you, trying to move you towards him. All the time, 24/7. So you'll find out on Sunday. You coming?
Now I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Prabhupada said, you think of Krishna 24 hours a day. He thinks of you 26. And then I heard that, I thought, I am so bad. I am so dull. Whenever I'm serving or chanting or thinking of Krishna, I never thought he was thinking of me. I thought he was had better things to think. Prabhupada is saying, you think of Krishna, he's thinking of you. Wow. Hello, duh, of course. And I never thought like that. For 56 years. That's a dull brain if I ever saw one. 56, I never thought Krishna's thinking of me. It was always like, I have to do all these things. And he's not. Of course, I know he's doing things, but it seems like it's always about me. Not like that at all. Prabhupada said, you take one step, he takes 100. Like, without his help, we wouldn't even be here. We would have gone off somewhere. We'd be in Hawaii sipping coconuts on the beach. There'd be somewhere we wouldn't be here because Krishna is helping us, guiding us, pushing us, giving us intelligence, providing association, doing so many. Anyway, that's my answer to that. And, okay, I'll give you a hint. Upcoming attractions this Sunday, 5 o'clock. in the Bachelor. Some, what? 5 o'clock. What did I say?
Oh, you said five?
Oh. The word darshan means to see. When we go to temples, we take darshan. But actually what's happening with darshan is Krishna's seeing you. And he's putting his glance of love on you every time you go to the temple. And when you go to the temple, you see Krishna's playing a flute. And if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, when he plays a flute, he calls the gopis. He calls Radha. He plays a flute. Radha is sitting next to Krishna in the temple in the Rajya. He's not calling Radha. He's calling you and me and all of us. And what is he saying? Come dance with me. Are we qualified? No. He's calling us. And he's looking at us with love. Are we qualified for his love? No. And he's loving us. And his glance, and the Bhagavatam says, it says glance is unflinching. He never stops glancing. That means he's always giving us loving darshan 24/7. He's always seeing us. And I'll give you one more hint. This is like really interesting. This is so interesting. One more preview coming attractions. There was a devotee named Gopkumar. He went back to Krishna in the spiritual world. And Krishna was so happy to see him. He said, thank you. Thank you for coming. Please don't ever leave. And he welcomed him. And you know what he said? He said, I was trying to get you back here because I missed you, but I couldn't interfere with your independence. So the only way I could get you back is I had to do things to put you in a situation where you would desire on your own. And I was always hoping, in this life, will you get it in this life? I'll put you in this situation in this life. Will you get it? Or will it be the next life? I was always hoping to come back. And he's doing that all the time. For all those times. Why did you do this to me? Just go with it. No desire. And he's always doing it and waiting. Wow. Amazing, isn't it? And then he told Gop Kumar, he said, you know, I broke the rules for you. You took birth in Vrindavan, Govardhan, as a coward boy. That's as close as you could get to going back to me, coming back to me. But I couldn't force you to desire me. All I could do is, you didn't even, it's not that you deserve to even be born there, but I wanted you to come back so much. I broke the rules. I let you take birth there in Vrindavan. It's as close as you'll get to me on this planet. But you have a desire. Wow. That's what's going on. Amazing. Isn't it? That's the Krishna. He's waiting for you. Richard Rohr, the Franciscan monk, said, God does not love you because you are good. God loves you because he's good. See how beautiful. Some people say, I don't think Krishna loves me. To which I answer, that's not for you to decide. That's for him. You can think whatever you want. So like say, I don't think my father loves me. How does your father feel about that? Sacrifice his life for you, and you say, I don't think he loves me. That's for him. We have reasons to believe he doesn't love us. All bad reasons, because it's not true. Krishna sees what's good in us. We see what's bad in us. And therefore, it's really hard, really difficult to think that God would love you. It is said, great personalities only see the good in us. And he's the greatest. We like to see the bad in others. Makes us feel good, makes us feel better. He likes to serve his devotees. He does not see the bad. That's amazing, isn't it? You ever done something bad in the past and you still like today, 20 years later, like, why did I do that? Krishna's not thinking about that when he sees you. It's important to me. That's love. Don't you want friends who love you even though you do horrible things? Of course, if you're remorseful, will not hold it against you. That's Krishna. You cannot do something so bad that Krishna will not love you because you don't earn his love. You don't deserve his love. He is love. He only knows how to love. So you don't qualify for it. You don't deserve it. None of that. It's always given. You just take it. Wow. Now, here's my theory. After studying this topic, here's my theory. How can you do bhakti properly if you don't believe God loves you unconditionally? But you don't want to believe it, you want to feel it. When you feel it, everything changes. If you feel his love, then you chant his name, it's a different experience. Because now it's reciprocal. Not, oh God, I'm so fallen. Will you take me? Will you accept me? I'll never love you. But it's, I want to love you back because you love me so much. You know, you really want it. That's a different kind of change. Beautiful. Yes, Narada.
But why Krishna put him in that position? He had to go through one about another, good or bad, he had to go through that instead of coming directly to his
Go Kumar?
Yeah.
Oh, because he had a lesson to teach us. He had to teach us what is the highest love. It's a beautiful story of a person in Gokumar, and he's traveling throughout the universe, material and spiritual. And finally goes back to the spiritual world and meets Krishna and they have a conversation. And that exemplifies what we can also achieve. And it shows how much Krishna wants every one of us to go back. Even the atheist, he wants. I don't believe in God. Whatever, Krishna wants you back. It's just a fact. Right? I think we're supposed to stop now. Right? We're just getting warmed up.
Yeah, we have time for one more and then we can do something.
One more. Yes.
I'll give a very broad one.
Okay.
Let's just say I'm the type of person that feels like I want to help the world, everyone.
You're the type of person who wants to.
Help everyone.
Okay. how I think. I think the best way you can help the world is to be an example of what you want to see in other people, of what you're teaching. And be so evolved spiritually that just by your presence, people will become better. So in that sense, it's an endless job. Just get, the better I get, the better people around me will get. The worse I become, the worse people around me will become. I wrote a book, Uplift Yourself, Change the World, because it was very clear to me that the best way to help people is become a person who could change hearts just by their presence, just by their vibration, just by their consciousness. So, because I had that experience with my spiritual master, how much he changed people by his presence. So it's an ongoing process eternally. We will eternally get better. So from where you're at, do what you can and eternally get better. Do you know that there's an eternal spiritual world? And in that eternal spiritual world, it's not static. It always increases. So you'll eternally get better. And if you go there, you want to be a bodhisattva, so to speak, you could come back down here in a pure state, untouched by anything in this world, not by anger, by greed, by lust. You can be a pure soul, and your influence is so powerful. You could help millions of people just by your consciousness, by your words would be so realized and powerful just by what you say, change lives. And that's what our spiritual master did. And I'm a product of that. What do you think? Big job ahead?
I'm happy to. And it's just like, you can do minor things, you can volunteer.
Of course.
Spread this, but I would still feel very narrow. Like
growing
up.
You'll always be that way, because there'll always be people who need help. And there'll always be people who need help that won't want your help. Right? You know, look at how people are being contaminated by the air, by the food, what's in the food, what's in so many products. You know, it's like how much, we don't have a lot of control. But I think that one of the best things we can do, what to speak of how people are being spiritually misled, one of the best things we can do is educate people. That's the wrong direction. You'll suffer if you go that way. And then they'll make their own choices, and you have to be detached and just sit back and see what happens and do your best. But if you really want to help people, you pray them to God. Because when they go to God, they'll never have to take a physical birth again. And the reason we have problems is because we take a physical birth. If we didn't have this body, we wouldn't have a problem. Have you ever been so sick that you wish you could leave your body? So suffering so much, it's like you just go out of it. Yeah. The body's the ultimate cause of suffering. Pleasure and pain. Where there's pleasure, there's pain. Where there's happiness, there's distress. Can't avoid it until you leave your body or become self-realized. So if you help people get there, that's the best thing. But we have to stop now. Otherwise, I'll never be invited back again. I've broken the time rules.
No, you're right on time.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm going to start from Don Prasika, which is a moment where we offer a key lamp to the altar and to Krishna as Damodar. Or Damodar also means the form of the Lord bound by the affection of his devotees. So you can pray to develop deeper devotion in your heart as you offer the lamp. And you offer the lamp clockwise, and then you want to become a more loving person, you have to start with everyone around you. So you then, after offering it to the altar, you go to everyone around you, and then you place the key lamp on the thing. If you don't know what I'm saying, just watch someone. You'll get it down. And we'll move
No,
this.
no. You don't know what he's saying, watch the Indians. They really know how to do it. Right?
Watch Naruto
They
research.
grew up doing it. At least, right? Seeing your grandmother doing
And Mahatma, would you like to lead down the rest?
it. You always said over there.
Yeah, we'll set up over here. Someone might be in and out of the diagram. Yeah, maybe.
All right, so you're gonna have the words up there?
Yes. Just follow the words up there.
You got the